Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. A quick video here on BloxMove, BLXM. This is a really interesting topic and project. It's one I've been holding for a bit of time now. It's obviously relatively new compared to a lot of the crypto assets out there, but if you remember the intro videos or haven't watched them before, you can go check those out on the channel before. And on that topic as well, of course, don't forget, if you have not done so already, to smash that subscribe button. Massively appreciated. We are approaching 7,500 subs, so it's awesome. Great community out there, and hopefully you're enjoying all the content. So guys, BloxMove, massive partnerships. For example, the likes of Energy Web Foundation. There's a really cool one with 50 Hertz as well. There is kind of like a partial interlacing with Riddle and Scott. That's a very interesting company indeed. I would recommend going to check those guys out as well. But for me, for BloxMove, I was more intrigued about BloxMove because of what they're doing, basically. When I was talking many times, and quite some time ago as well, about how to interlace various different companies and technologies together under one roof. Because the way blockchain is evolving, we talk about like iota, for example, with Tangle under the DAG protocol, direct cyclic graph. This is the insinuation that everything and anything internet-based or device-based, anything that you would do that's not necessarily a ratio 1-to-1, like you have to pay for it as it were, or it has a value, would be accumulated and done by blockchain. We've used multiple examples of how the autonomous aspect or the automative aspect of blockchain can enhance the way we work, the way that we live, the way that we purchase and do everything, basically drive our cars, eventually, EV, wireless charging, etc. We'll go into that in a bit more detail because that does heavily relate to BloxMove and what these guys are doing. But for me, one of the very interesting things that they started developing this year was the NFT ticket, or the NFTicket, if they want to call it that. So this is a frictionless voucher for power and mobility. What this means is they're trying to incorporate the aspect. I think there are some apps out there already, but you've got to understand that currently majority of technology and data input and information of transfer of information is very manual. There's a lot of API work in the background, a lot of time, cost, and perhaps not as efficient as it could be. So when we start applying technology and information like blockchain, the verification process, the processing in general, and of course things like removal of potential things like money laundering or counterfeiting, fake identities, all this kind of thing. This is where NFTs come in quite successfully. Now NFTs, of course, we kind of always perceive these to just be pieces of art, right? I mean, I've worked in Web3 gaming, for example, where NFT are in-game items that you can potentially in the future transfer to other games because they are your owned items, or you can utilize them in certain ways within the game, right? But actual non-fungible tokens can be applied to basically anything that has a value that is not a 1-to-1 ratio. So, for example, if I give you $1, you get $1, irrespective of the debt that's behind it, obviously. But like in the grand scheme of things, I could have something like a Pokemon card, and that has value. Therefore, it could be an NFT. Now, NFTs are being transferable into physical assets as well as time goes by. But when we talk about NFTs in this aspect, we come across a multitude of different utility and options of how it could be used now and in the future. So we have the actual aspect of like NFT, in terms of like energy charging for cars. We've got things like tickets, whether it be trains or specific events and things like this, that can all be within one system. Now, if you think about this, right, logically, and this goes back to the topic about blockchain in general and how it's evolving. If I go to a football match, I mean, I tend to drive because, the train is ridiculous price and it's quicker and less hassle, blah, blah. But in the near future, where things become even more automated and, combustion cars disappear and we just have basically electric cars, but also driverless cars. What we mean by this is actually on a momentous system of blockchain to know that you've booked something, therefore this car will arrive at your house automatically at this time because it knows the traffic algorithm and data. You'll get pinged a message to say, actually, we're arriving 20 minutes earlier because the traffic is going to advance based on trend and algorithm in the next 2 hours, and therefore you would miss the match. So when we eventually go and book an event, let's use the event as an example, a football match. I've booked that, say, in advance. Let's say I'm a season ticket holder, which I am, or it's something perhaps I've ordered a few days before, or maybe even on the morning. It doesn't really matter because it's all calculated. And what it does is it would essentially grab 4 or 5 different apps, 4 or 5 different companies, and accumulate your transportation itinerary, pay for it using transactions of tokenization, but also the credibility of all the tickets being under one system, i.e. your DID, digital identity, variable credentials. This is how it will operate with you as a person moving forward. You become the DID. This is where I truly believe Twitter is going, and many other platforms as well. It's encouraging a new system of verification, and you as a person, almost like an avatar in the real world, having a digital identity. We kind of already have that, right, through browsing or whatever it might be, purchasing history, etc. But to actually have it verified and applied onto the blockchain, this is where it becomes really interesting and fun. So this aspect is I go and order an event or I book an event, and then everything is done for me. The car comes and picks me up. It knows what food I wanted to order, so therefore either a drone will deliver it or it will be ready there when I get there, and I'll just press a few buttons and the items come out. And all the algorithm of things like when I need to leave, or imagine if I'm abroad, it would have not only my taxis, it would have my flights done, it would have my pickups done, it would have the transportation between the venue and the airports and hotels and whatever it might be. It will even book the hotel accommodation for me based on my preferences, the availability or budgets that I have as a preference, all done. And if you think about that, that's in that just mini conversation, it's probably accounted for like maybe 5 or 6 different companies, right? And normally you would have to spend ages booking each one or finding a broker that did it for you. If you're lucky, it has an assistant that does it for you. Brilliant. But time consumption, people consumption, salary consumption, everything inefficient. So we have things like BloxMove that are bringing out the technology and the products and the solution to come out with something that incorporates everything and makes your lives faster, easier, and more efficient. So this becomes really interesting if you think about it, as to how fast-paced we could become in terms of technology and efficiency. So I think this is really interesting and a really exciting concept that's coming more and more into fruition. I've been following BloxMove for a while, as I said, and they have developed very well thus far. And the partnerships are really good. I mean, this one in particular really always fascinates me. I have a fascination and a passion for energy and renewables and things like this. But we're talking about things like electric cars, but also being potential wireless transmission charging. So in the sense of, like we talk about with Energy Web and Power Ledger, where you become a prosumer based on surplus energy in your house battery, for example, that you can then put back into the grid to other users anywhere around the world and make money from it. And pay towards your bills, etc. Exactly the same with your car. If you're charging up, it knows that you're not going to need that much. Therefore, when you get to a charging station or a wireless charging station in the near future, it will put it back into the system. This is how we become very efficient from an energy consumption perspective, and also the ability to increase our livelihoods with extra potential funds and money, or indeed this aspect of tokenization, digital currencies, to use elsewhere. And this is how the economy becomes more balanced and efficient as time goes by. And that's why I like these partnerships, because they have a reasoning behind them. They're not just for marketing. They have a purpose and an actual real world utility scenario. And one thing I would do mention and recommend, guys, on the Blockchain Founders Group YouTube channel, go and watch this webinar, Web3 Startup Pitch Founders Edition. There's a few other projects on there really worth listening to, in my opinion, anyway. But if you just want to skip, I think it's roughly around 35 minutes. You will have Daniel here from BloxMove going through this new NFT ticket aspect. And I think it's really fascinating. It's very interesting. And just relax when you're watching it. Like, actually understand, research, and realize what's to come. Now, I'm not saying BloxMove is the immediate answer. I'm sure there's many other chains that are working on this kind of thing as well, but they're moving in the right direction in the sense of the great partnerships that they're building and the technology and the infrastructure that they're putting together. They're already starting very heavily with the demoing and integration of this. And this is phenomenal. And if you think ahead, and when we talk about the partners, they all go to these big energy events and things like this, right? But imagine when they're meeting people like EnergyWeb who have a substantial amount of partners in the energy sphere. This is about conversation and networking. This is where I see the potential of a project, of the way it's going with its networking, its opportunity, and what its solution is, right? So I think it's really fascinating. It's one to definitely keep an eye on. It's very early stages still, so you just got to think ahead. And on that point, actually, because unfortunately it's not on TradeView, I kind of show you this chart as an overview. I'm not going to go to massive analysis, other than the fact that obviously, like with most crypto assets, the launch occurred, massive value, and it's dropped down significantly. We're currently floating at around 20 cents, right? So for me, the market cap being quite low, you could argue that this is extremely early. And there's a potential risk to it, as there is with all crypto assets in the early stages. But you have to look at the principles of what it's about, the solution, as I said, the partnerships and everything like this, the team behind it, and how ruthless are they? So for me, I'm cautiously, but I guess like anticipating the future development of this project. I think it's really interesting. This is not financial advice, it's just my opinion, and based on the knowledge that I have, the experience and the expertise in these certain sectors has brought my attention massively to BloxMove. I've done a couple of videos with them before, and I just reiterating this point really because the price point is still roughly around a really good sensitive price point for accumulation. And yes, of course, it could still come down low depending on what Bitcoin and everything else does. Absolutely. But I think this is personally for me a good accumulation point. I've been buying BloxMove at various prices on the way down, to be honest. I was even buying it just over $1, which sounds a bit crazy. But I have had multiple accumulations around this sort of 45, 47 cents mark, and very much around this 20 cent mark as well. So it's obviously a really interesting rounded area. My next stages for this purchasing aspect is around sort of 14 to 16 cents as well, just in case we come down to those areas. But I am manually accumulating at this level too. I just think it's got some really good opportunities moving forward. Let us know if you're holding BloxMove in the comments below, because I do think this is a really, really interesting technology and project for sure. And if you understand the aspect of mobility, transportation, and the integration with blockchain, and also this ticket aspect, I think this is absolutely brilliant to think about it in this way. And all the things that it can start avoiding as well. Think like how many ticket counterfeiting is occurring, and fraud and missed tickets or misplaced identities on tickets, all this stuff. We're talking something that is in transition right now, but for this kind of project, I'm looking at like a few years ahead, 2025 onwards, really, where I would probably start seeing a proper return on this if I'm accumulating right now. And maybe beyond that as well, as we have the development of EV cars, automation, autonomous aspects, blockchain evolving more and more, and adoption. That's where we got to think ahead, guys. So I just thought I'd throw this video out there in this morning because, I'm accumulating as and when I can. But I think this is a really interesting one to look out for. If you're not accumulating right now, have it on your watch list, because it is worth anticipating its evolution and adaptation. Moving forward. So guys, we're going to wrap that up there. I find this very, very cool. Let us know in the comments below, as I said, if you're holding BloxMove. If you want any other projects covered, let me know. But we'll update you guys on BloxMove as and when big updates come out. But until then, thanks so much for watching this one. We'll see you in the next BloxMove video. Take care and bye-bye.